We was on the bottom, yeah. Now we headed to the top, new level. On my level, don't see anybody, I don't see him. This right here could never stop, this could never stop. Ay, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah, nah. Ay, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah, nah. Ay, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah, nah. Ay, this right here could never stop. Hold up, nah, nah. One time, ay. I live on a job, right? Yeah, I'm always at work, right? Real people stay by me, right? Haters wanna do hurt, right? Know they tryna stop me, right? Drag my name through dirt, right? I don't feed into the hate, right? I just answer with a smirk, facts. I feel so special, facts. I know my worth, facts. My bloodline royal, facts. We the kings of the earth, right? You can't stop this, nah, nah. You can't stop this, no way, yo.
What's your name?
Travis.
Travis and Cedric. Travis and Cedric. Okay, my name is Ethan. All right. Ethan. So now, Cedric and Travis. Okay. So now we were discussing earlier about drunkenness, right? Drinking, over drinking, right? So now let me ask you a question, Cedric. You drink? You drink. How you doing, sis? What's your name? Okay. So how you doing, sis? What's your name? Miss Connie, nice to meet you. My name is Ethan. Okay. So now what we were going over was drunkenness with my brother here, Travis, right? So now we all know people that drink and overindulge, okay? Which is a bad, it's a stigma in our community, right? Because some people's vice is what? Drinking, right? Others what? Smoking weed, cigarettes, crack, right? Crack cocaine is a big problem even to this day, right? Pills, that's a new thing, right? Now they into pills, right? So now, these different things are in our communities, and look at the state of our community, right? Do you think that this community has prospered because of those things? I guarantee you can find a dime bag. So now, what we're here to do, right? Give me first Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to read verse 15, okay? Because the reason that we're in this lowest state and low condition is why? Why do you think so?
Because we disobeyed God.
Because we disobeyed God. Very good. We disobeyed God, but specifically, what did we disobey of Him? Not living up to. Okay. What about you, Cedric? That's right. What about you? What do you think?
I think same way. Same way, like you're right. Like Bill, few things. We are African Americans, but we are actually not.
Right.
We call ourselves Israelites.
We are. That's right. So now we're going to get the reason. Okay, all praises. That's good. Okay. So now we're going to get the reason why there's drugs and prostitution and what else? Drinking, alcoholism in our communities. Why we indulge in these things? Why is it prominent in the Black and Hispanic household? Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
God said that curses will come upon the Black and Hispanic people when we don't obey his laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay, it's very simple. You do what I say, you will be blessed. You don't want to do what I say, right? Just like when Cedric was a young man growing up in the house. When he didn't do what you wanted him to do, what happened to him? You had a discipline. So just like the same way God views us, so God views us the same way. He says, we are his children, specifically the Israelites, because no other people on this earth get the honor and the glory to be called God's chosen people.
That's right.
Nobody else on this earth gets to be called God's children. Not no white man, not no Chinese man, not no East Indian. Okay? God didn't say that they're his children. God said that we are. Right. So because of that, we have to be punished because of our disobedience. And not, I don't know, how many, you only have one son? So when one of them, usually when one of them did bad, more than likely, how many did you punish? When you punish, did you only punish one of them, or usually you punish them what? As a whole, right? As a whole. So God, guess what? God does the same thing. He doesn't punish us individually. This wasn't done individually to us, right? Us getting sold, whipped, right? Us having our families separated. That wasn't done individually. That was done as a whole, as a nation of people. All these people that you see on this sign, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we were punished as a whole. And guess what?Roughly around the same time, 1492 up to this day, right? Read verse 29.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
So God said that we will be oppressed and spoiled, and that we will grope in noonday as the blind gropeth. Grope means you're searching, right? So like a blind person, right, that can't see nothing, we will be searching. Guess what we search with? You put that in. What are things that we search to get a better life? Because that's ultimately what he's saying. We're going to try to find different ways to uplift our communities, uplift ourselves. A job. What else? What else do we try to use? All right. So we try to get better job, better education. Right? How about when those things don't work? What do we usually end up doing? How about selling drugs? Right? Because now if you got a record on you,
or stealing.
Stealing, that's a good one. Stealing. What else? Yeah. The lie, run scams, run game, right? That's big down here in Miami-Dade, right? What do women usually end up doing? Prostitution. Right? So now because the way, right, is in this is a trap, right? That's what they call it.
It is.
Right here, this is a trap, right? So it's a trap, why? Because they literally encase, look at it. Look, there's metal bars. Why? Why is there metal bars around your home?
Bring it out.
Why is there metal bars on your windows? Why is there metal, thieves? How about,
Yeah, to stop people from coming in.
Is it really to stop people from coming in? How about, because what do they do at the gates at night? Do they leave them open? Usually it's to do what? They used to lock them, right? And to keep people from going where? To leave. You weren't allowed to leave your house. That's a trap, is to trap you inside. Right? So they entrap us, they use these different methods and ways to entrap us. Why? Because now a black man gets locked up, right? Let's say he does 3 years. Now that record stays with him for life. How easy is it for him to get a job? So now he got 3 or 4 kids. He's got to take care of his wife or his woman, right? So now guess what happens? Now he turns to drugs. He turns to alcohol because he needs something to alleviate the pain, alleviate the pressure, right? That we're in because of these conditions and how hard they are, right? Read that again.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
God said, in that groping, in that searching through prostitution, through drugs, alcohol, right? Through even, because now they don't call it prostitution anymore. What do they say? The strip club, right? It's a strip club. So what else? You go, so through these different ways, through this searching of all these ways, we will not prosper. We will not prosper in our communities and our households, right? So now, finish that out. What's that? Read that.
Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 10. We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men.
God says we are as dead, we the walking dead. That show is talking about us, we the walking dead. Right. We walk in this earth looking for different ways to escape the traps that we're in. Right? So we search through drugs, prostitution. We search through these different means of running games, schemes, and all these different things, right? So, keep reading.
Verse 12. For our transgressions are multiplied before thee, and our sins testify against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our iniquities, we know them.
God says that we know what we're doing wrong. We understand and know that drugs is wrong, prostitution, that drinking to get drunk is wrong. And because of these things, we can't continue we won't be able to uplift our society. We won't be able to uplift the black and Hispanic household until we stop doing them. Why? Because iniquity, when God says iniquity, that means sin. Right? And what is sin? What happens when you commit a sin?
Disobey God.
Yeah. What do you think? Going against his, that you hit it right on the head. Going against his laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's get that. Read that.
1 John chapter 3 and verse 4.
Bring it out.
Whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law.
So when you break God's laws, statutes, and commandments, you're in the midst of sin. Okay, that's very plain. What you're doing is, it's just like you break a law out here in the street. If you run a red light, guess what happens? That's you breaking the law, right? Now in God's eye, He's got laws specific to how we govern and live our lives, right? So just like He said, we were talking about now, over drinking to get drunk, right? Because that can end up leading to what? If you drink all the time, will you be able to hold a steady job? I mean, there's people. There are people that have. Okay, if I'm a drunk and I work at a corner store for minimum wage, right? Am I going to be able to support my family? No, right? So even though you get
right, working,
right.
But work is not performing up there for
Correct.
And you can be in a better job instead of places you want to make.
Absolutely. You will be in a better predicament with your life.
Because listen, even the president drinks. The president of the United States,
right?
He drinks. Those, you know what I
Now
mean?
we're not talking that you can't drink. There's a difference. God didn't overindulgence, right? So now let me. All right. So now when you can't prosper in a minimum wage job and you can't get a better job, what ends up happening to you? Are you going to be able to afford a place to live? How much is rent down here in Miami-Dade?
A lot of money.
So now, these are $900. So to live in here is $900 with no window. You got a broke out window for $900.
Miami.
Huh? So now for $900 and you can't afford, because now you working at the corner store making minimum wage because you were drunk. Now you can't afford the place to live, right? Now you can't afford the place to live, right? So now, what would end up happening when you can't pay the rent? You're gonna get kicked out.
That's right.
And you're gonna wind up homeless, right?
Homeless, right? Be homeless.
You'll be homeless. Now, what ends up happening? What do you see people usually do after they end up homeless? Where they at? And they end up doing what? To get money. Panhandling and begging, right? So let's see what God says about that. Okay? Because if you don't have a place to live and you don't have a place to, because God says every man needs a house over his head. He needs to be able to provide clothing, food, shelter, and what else? Water. Okay? Those are the four main things that are necessities of life. Anything more than that is extra. God is blessing you with extra. Okay? The problem is we don't understand how to maintain just those basic four. Why? Because we drink, we get into prostitution, drugs, these things that are unlawful in this earth, which God also said is unlawful in his laws. Thus, you're not going to prosper through those ways. Read this.
Sirach chapter 40 and verse 28. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg.
God said it's better for you to die than to go around with a little cup in your hand saying, I need 25 cents. 25 cents. Why? Because you can't stay away from the bottle. You can't stay away from the drugs. You can't stay away from opening your legs and spreading up your legs to every man for $1.25. However much you sell yourself for. Because and the reality is, the sad reality is, a lot of us fall into these things, and a lot of us fall into these conditions. Why? Because we thought it's a lust. Lust isn't necessarily just a sexual desire. Lust can be anything. You can have a lust
Talk about a lot of money.
a lot of money. What else? What other lust can you have in this world?
Materialistic stuff.
Materialistic stuff. What else, Cedric?
Talk to lust. I mean, lust can give you put you in danger.
Danger, yes. Lust can put you in danger. Let's get the worldly lust. Get was it Galatians 5? So let's find out what some of these lusts that we can fall into in the traps that we live in today. Because it's easy when you're a crackhead and then you live in the trap, and right outside the gate, what's sitting right there? The drug dealer right there. The dope man.
Bring it up.
Dope boy right outside your front door. You're trying to stay clean. You're trying to do the right thing, but it's the environment. So your environment can actually bring you up a certain way.
Right.
It
Living
can,
that.
right. And that's why they keep us in what? The hood, the trap,
Right.
the ghetto, the projects.
Right.
Read that. Galatians, was it 5?
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery.
Now, what's adultery? Correct. So adultery is a married man or woman having sex outside of that marriage. Right? That's a very prominent thing in the Black Hispanic household, isn't it? Especially today. We get tired, you know what I mean? We get old, things start to sag, things start to... Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're drunk online.
Right.
And have sex with women, you know,
Virtually.
Bring it out.
You absolutely
and
correct.
That's still okay. They want to justify.
You absolutely correct. So,
And a lot of marriages are reason on that a lot.
absolutely. That's a very... Pornography is a big problem in the Black Hispanic household. Why? Because and that type of behavior is taught from young. It's usually taught from young, and usually by what? Music videos. It's taught through movies, cartoons nowadays. Absolutely. So now, when you get old of age, now you've been together, you've been married for 15, 20 years. You don't look the same as when you first met. You arguing all the time. Now you know what I mean? You're just not interested anymore. Guess what you're gonna go do? You're gonna go find another man. You're gonna go find another woman, and you don't want to leave the person because you're comfortable where you're at. You're making enough money. It's not the money thing. It's just that you want it to feel a little. You want some excitement. You want to change. What you want? What's that? You want Sex in the City life. After a while, the life that you live in ain't normal anymore. You don't want the normal life that you live in. You want extra. You want more, right? Keep reading.
Fornication.
Now, what's fornication? Because there's a difference between adultery and fornication.
Everybody done. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be real with you. Everybody done fornicated before.
The majority of...
Everybody.
Absolutely, you're correct. I've fornicated before.
Everybody.
Why? Because I was taught by my father he said, hey, why do you only have one girlfriend? He asked me. He said, yo. He said, why you ain't have because he asked me, I had one girlfriend at the time. He's like, you should go to another school and go over there and go find another girlfriend. But you see how you're laughing? Now, the sad reality is, if I actually accomplish that, what are the likelihoods of me having either an STD or having children outside of wedlock?
Bring it out.
Because, let me ask you, you married?
I was married my whole time.
Okay, so your husband passed. But how many people have you known that don't get married, have sex before they get married, and then they realize they don't like the person that they're with, but they have 2 children with them already? And what ends up happening with them children? How are they usually raised up? Is the household... Now, you and your husband, right? So now, with that husband there, with your husband there, it was easier to raise the children, right?
Yes.
Why? Because the man had his role. There's 2. Because God intended for you to have a child, you need that other person, right? So God isn't going to tell you, okay, go lay down with this woman, have sex with her, give her a child, and then go bounce, and now she got to take care of the child by herself. Right? That he intended both of you to create the life, and then at the same time, both of you are there to raise up the children so that they can continue on building and keep on generating the next generations on. Okay? It was designed for two, right? So the fornication what ends up happening is that we end up in single-parent households, right? Either the man raising up the children alone, or more than likely the woman, right? Now there's different reasons for it. There's different reasons why the man left. It's not necessarily because he just wanted to leave and just have sex with her. There's times where the woman isn't doing what she's supposed to do. Why? Because in this society it's not taught 50-50. 50-50 marriage, that the woman is equal to the man, right? That's taught in this society, right? Is that what God, you think that's what God believes?
Well, I believe that because like when me and my husband, we were just like,
right. So now let's find out real quick. Let's find out what God will. Now one accord is different than 50-50.
so we supposed to be as one when we married.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be one.
Right, as one flesh. But there's still order within that household. Because, for instance, like you have a job, right? Okay. You have a manager, right? So now you might have multiple managers, but that one manager only manages a certain section, right? Now above him, what's above him? It could be the owner, could be another manager, a senior manager above him, right? So there's different order within the organization, right? The structure. Just like that, God says that the household, the family unit, is a nation of people within itself.
Right.
Just like the government, right? You have the government. There's a president. He's the head or the leader of the nation, right? You got the Congress, you got other people, but you have a head, right? The leader, right? Let's see what God says about it.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
In the words of God, is there 50-50 marriage? What we just read. Was that 50-50? Where it said that the man is the head meaning leader of the woman. Is that 50-50? It's not. No. It can't be, right? Because if I'm a leader over you, so that means who's in charge? The man. So now what ends up happening is, right, I understand. So however the man decides to run his household, if he wants you to run the finances, listen, I need this bill paid like this, guess what? That's your job to do inside the household. God gave us this planet. He gave the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans this planet to run.
That's right.
Guess what we didn't do? We didn't do what he said. So just like we didn't do like he said, now we're stuck in this condition. Guess what? The household can end up the same way when the woman doesn't follow after what the man had planned for his house to be run. If he wants it ran a certain way, guess what? That's how he wants it done, as long as it's in accordance with the Bible.
Right.
And if it doesn't break no laws in the Bible, guess what? You gotta listen. Because he's the head of the leader of the house. So now when that doesn't work out, he's going to bounce and leave, and now you end up with what? A single family household. Why? Because the woman didn't follow in her place where she was supposed to. Not degrading, but as a helper or someone as an assistant. Okay? As the number two. You got the man, then you got the woman. And whatever that man says, that's what you got to follow, right? So yes, ma'am. We're going to talk about it. Absolutely. Why? Because what do they end up falling into? We were talking about it earlier. What do the men fall into? Adultery, what else? We were talking about you about drinking. The drinking, drugs, adultery, right? There's these different lusts for us to fall into these different traps. Your husband, did he treat the men differently from the young girl, right? Right. Make sure you check out the flyer, right?
All right, man.
So your husband treated your girls different than the boys.
Right.
He raised your boys to be men, and he treated the women differently because they're not the same. Men are not women, and women are not men. Thus, a woman, unto a certain point, can't raise a boy. After a certain age, that young boy has to be raised by a man.
Right.
Right? And then this is And if that doesn't happen, this is what God says. This is a prophecy that was written. Read.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. Read it out. As for my people, children are their oppressors.
So what happens is the woman raises up that young boy. That young boy becomes emotional and effeminate. Why? Because then this brother talked to me all rough, and I have to prove myself to him with what? That Glock. I have to prove myself to him by running him over with the car. I have to prove myself to him by stopping him out on the curb. Now we have black on black crime. I'm masculine. Well, that's not masculinity. That's effeminate. Right. Why? Because now that's over emotional. Right. Man, the man step up your shoes, bro. Get a toothbrush and clean it off and move on with your life. The problem in our community is what? Yes, the men are taking care of the women as they're supposed to. But likewise, the women aren't doing their part. It takes two, right? There's a song, it takes two, right? But if both aren't doing their part, what is it? Two times zero is still zero. Right. If both aren't doing their part, nothing is going to come out of it. Right? Keep reading that.
And women rule over them.
So not only are the men being oppressed by younger children that are what? Selling drugs, dope boys, right? That they're thieves, that they're covetous, right? But also that the women rule over the men. How? Through the things that we talked about. Now the women are the ones in charge, 50-50, right? And they run the household. They do whatever they say is what happens in the household, right? But that's not what God says. That's not what He wrote down in the book.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.